When a child's taken away from its family, there's a lot of heartache and a lot of pain they go through.
Joey, you go with that family. We don't love y'all no more. And I remember laying over the back seat, crying. I want my brother.
I have missed you so much.
And all of a sudden, boom, you see her. You don't really know the emotion that you have until you actually feel it.
There were many times that I questioned, I wonder why they gave me up. I wonder why they didn't want me.
We want to know who we are too.
Hello, I'm Jenny Montgomery. The holidays are traditionally a time for families to come together, and while some of us take family for granted, others would give anything just to know theirs. So many of you responded to a story we brought you over the summer looking for Joey, offering clues to help Audrey CROOK find her brother. Many of you shared your own journeys of trying to find out, who am I? Where did I come from? Or, as in Audrey's case, where is my brother?
Joey was born in 1958, September the 3rd.
Take a good look at this little boy. He was Joseph Eugene Sidler then, living in France, a military family with his father Billy and stepmother Myra.
Our father was a very abusive man. He had a drinking problem.
Audrey CROOK's memories of her early childhood are painful ones,
There's only one picture that I have with him in it.
especially when she thinks about her little brother Joey.
I remember him getting locked up in the bedroom. I remember him being sick. He broke a thermometer. My daddy beat him because he broke the thermometer.
The Sidlers' marriage fell apart.
Myra brought us back to the state.
Myra sent a letter to France asking Billy Sidler,
What did he want her to do with us? He said, give them to the court. She took us to Richmond County Courthouse, Miss B. Hamilton, and not a day that goes by that I don't visualize coming down them steps, holding his little hand, and being told, Audrey, you go with that family. Joey, you go with that family. We don't love y'all no more. Joey went in one direction and I went another. And I remember laying over the back seat, crying. I want my brother.
Later, Audrey's new father looked into adopting Joey, but discovered shocking news about the couple who took him from the courthouse on February 4th, 1965.
And they gave him back. April 13th, 1965 is the last date that was filed on Joey's records. I haven't seen it. That's just what the judge told me.
If you could just see him right now, what would you say?
That I love him, and I have missed him.
Look at the emotion when she got to thank the man who did the right Google searches using a birth date and the name Joey. Different faces.
For a long time.
Same hearts.
I have missed you. God answers prayers, honey.
Yes, he does.
Now who's this?
They didn't get to make memories, but they've shared a dream, and now they'll share a family.
My name is Stacy Coleman.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
And I went this and he went
I went
that.
that way. Oh, I want my brother, I want my brother. Big brother's here now.
Big sister.
That was a beautiful moment my crew and I will never forget. Tears of joy washing away pain, love surviving decades and distance. We'll hear from Joey a little later in the program, but first, scars pushed beneath the surface that last a lifetime.
All children are not adopted for love, but I know one thing. When a child's taken away from its family, there's a lot of heartache and a lot of pain they go through. They wonder and they're worried for a long time. She told the classroom they was all invited to this girl's birthday party but me. She said everybody but Sybil said she was adopted. You don't know how that hurts.
It's been 80 years since Sybil Jones was painfully embarrassed in front of her third-grade class. She's never forgotten it, nor the night B. Hamilton took her and her siblings from their home. Her life story is heart-wrenching, beginning with a mother who bolted when she was a baby.
The youngest of 6 children, Sybil was only 3 when her mother cashed a paycheck and bought a bus ticket to California. She wouldn't see her again for 27 years.
And I was in the hospital. She come in and fell down over me crying, "I'm your mother, I love you." But I wondered where the love was at those 27 years.
Sybil didn't feel a lot of love in those years. Her father broke his back and couldn't care for all the children. They were taken away and put into different orphanages.
Being taken away from your family, you know you've got brothers and sisters. And every time that I would come to Augusta, I'd look around to see if I could see my brothers or my sisters.
At age 6, she was adopted, along with a boy named David, not her biological brother, by J.B. and Lucille Gerganis.
I think people ought to know that all children are not adopted for love. They adopted us to work for them. I had to get up and build a fire and wood stove. They stayed in the bed every morning while I cooked breakfast, and my brother would go milk the cow and feed the hogs. I had to saw wood just like a man. We had to take buckets and walk up and down the railroad track and pick up little pieces of coal that had fell off the boxcars.
And they were mean and abusive.
I was crying for my brothers and my sisters. She scolded me several times. "I'll give you a whooping like you ain't never had before." And she said, "You ain't got no sisters and brother." But I knew I did have.
She has vivid memories of one horrific summer night.
I thought they was gonna kill me that night.
Both parents came after her.
He had both of my feet and he had them pressed against the wall of my head on the floor. And the blood run down in my hair.
Lucille was beating her with 3 switches.
Swamp willow switches. My brother just crying.
They forced Sybil to quit school at 16 and go to work in a cotton mill, taking everything she earned for 2 years.
So one day I walked off to go to work and I didn't go back. She went to the law. The law told her she's 18, you can't make her go back home.
Sybil wouldn't find out that she and David weren't legally adopted until she tried to draw her retirement.
And when I went to the Social Security Board, they said, "You can't draw no Social Security." He said, "You worked under the name of Gerganis, you're not a Louis."
She had to get a lawyer, whose best conclusion after years of searching tied Sybil and her biological siblings to the infamous black market baby ring in Augusta.
They was going to try B. Hamilton and Judge Chambers, but he died. And the day she was supposed to go to court, she was in the hospital in Florida, and she lived about a month after then. So they never did try them.
Years later, Sybil took care of her adopted mother, who was in the end stages of Alzheimer's, which brings up a big issue for adoptees: medical history and having no idea about cancer, diabetes, or anything health-related.
You know the person that you've become, but you don't know what your background is, especially the medical information. The last thing I'd want is for there to be something and to not know it's coming.
2 women filling in the blanks, how the click of a mouse led one to answers about her birth mother's family and more. How many of us have taken for granted the gift of having been born to parents who loved and wanted us? Wrestling with the question, why didn't they want me, is a common denominator for adoptees. And as you'll see, it can hurt no matter how old you are.
The dress is the dress I came home to my adopted family in. The Night Before Christmas book was the book I was given.
Christmas time, 1957, 3-year-old Mary Louise Moseley was adopted by an Aiken couple.
That was my first t-shirt.
A childhood captured in a shadow box. Early memories as vague as the missing face on her treasured teddy bear.
I knew I was different. I kind of looked like my adopted mother because back then they tried to kind of match you up. But I just never felt I belonged. I could remember walking down the streets in Augusta and looking at people, even as a little kid, wondering, you know, could that be my mom?
Adoption records are sealed in South Carolina, but when she turned 18, she requested her non-identifying information.
You know about your birth mother's family,
Right.
how old her grandparents, they didn't know about you?
No.
Yeah.
I have no ills against her. I understand back in that time, people hid that sort of thing.
At age 40, after searching reunion registries and Ancestry.com, she found her birth mother. In time, the two started writing letters.
Just like, how's the weather, that sort of thing.
They never met face to face, but wrote each other for 20 years. Last year, her mother's letters stopped coming.
I wish deep down that if she is still alive, that her family would give me the chance to meet you and, you know, go from there.
Thanks to a DNA test through Ancestry, she learned she has several half-siblings. It was the biological connection she needed to make sense of a lifelong emptiness, knowing that she belonged to somebody.
A person that's not adopted doesn't know what it's like to not know who you are. I've spent my whole life on this. I think laws about adoption need to be looked at, you know, a little differently maybe for each individual.
And you have the right not to ever meet that person or have them show up on your front doorstep, and I completely respect that. But there's still certain information that you owe that person that you gave birth to. Did she die when she gave birth? I don't know.
Sandra Schmieden thinks it should be mandatory for birth mothers to leave their medical history for the baby they're giving up.
Without that information, you don't have any way of knowing who you are. You don't know where you came from, and you don't know what your background is.
You try to find out on your own, but records are sealed, or if you go on a website, you don't have anything to research with. So where do you start?
Sandra's story started October 18, 1967, at St. Joseph Hospital. She was one of 8 baby girls born there that day. Only one left the hospital without a name.
And it was baby girl Martin.
She believes her birth mother was a teenager from North Carolina, Rebecca Martin.
If you Google Rebecca Martin, who probably isn't still Rebecca Martin, you get millions of them.
She even questions whether she was a B. Hamilton baby.
To read everything that happened, and it's all right there, right when I was adopted, right here.
There's also the issue of her amended birth certificate.
It doesn't have a time that I was born. It doesn't have a physician's signature on it. All it has is that I was born at St. Joseph Hospital, written in my adoptive mother's handwriting.
She can petition the courts to try to get records, but there's no guarantee that anything would be in those records.
And you start weighing, is it worth spending that kind of money to get another brick wall? Yeah.
Sandra grew up in a great family, but there's a void, a mystery she can't solve.
I wonder why they gave me up. I wonder why they didn't want me.
The question that haunts most adopted children of all ages.
I had a wonderful family. They loved me every day, but it's still not the same as knowing where you came from.
Do I have sisters and brothers out there? Is there someone that thinks I died? Is there somebody that has mourned me for 40-something years? I want to know, is this person out there looking for me too?
So to find those answers would really bring it full circle for me.
Our hands matched exactly. The bone structure, the vein structure.
Mary Louise did get to meet her half-brother for the first time on August 16th.
It was the calmest day of my life, I think, because I just wanted to find someone who I was related to. I just couldn't take my eyes off of it because I felt like, oh my gosh, there's actually somebody that has something of me. I'm all for people finding their families. I think it's great. Whether you get to know that family or not, that's another thing.
Learning about your birth family's health history may be hard, and state laws vary. In Georgia, an adoptee can request non-identifying information, including birth parents' health history, at age 18. At 21, they can request identifying information. In South Carolina, both the adoptee and adoptive parents can request medical histories of the birth parents. At age 21, the adoptee can request identifying information.
There was times I'd be watching TV and watching these shows where siblings are finding people, and I'm saying, God, you know.
Hey, sister.
Little did Sheila Splain know that she would be having a happy reunion with her siblings, and our cameras were there. You don't want to miss it.
God, so good to see you.
Audrey CROOK had one wish when we met her in August: to celebrate her brother's 57th birthday with him. Sometimes wishes do come true.
Spoke to her on the phone, and I think we're just like going to be like 3 peas in a pot together, all 3 of us. So it's going to be really exciting to see her.
Toccoa, Georgia, September 5th, 2015. Joey Welch is about to meet a sister he never knew he had until he was reunited with the sister he'd been hoping to find for 50 years.
It was real amazing. It was shocking, too.
It all started with a Facebook message on August 6th.
I called my daughter and told her, I said, look at the picture and tell me who that looks like.
Could it be the sister he remembered from so long ago?
She called me back and said, Daddy, that's you.
The little boy whose last memory of his sister was traumatizing.
Audrey went one way and I went the other way. And all I heard was saying, I want my brother.
I want my brother.
When you're that age, you don't know what's really going on.
What was going on was a separation of a family. There were 3 Sidler children, but the 2 older ones, Audrey and Joey, were put up for adoption. It was the end of that family. But big sister Audrey never forgot her siblings, and she never stopped looking. When she was in her 30s, her search for Joey led her to Memphis. She found her birth father, not her brother, and an unexpected bonus, baby Sheila. The 2 sisters teamed up to find their brother.
I had a private investigator, and we were looking for Joey, but we found our mother.
And she was in Sumter. We met, but it was like strangers. Because I didn't remember my mother.
Audrey and Sheila never lost hope that one day they would find their brother.
His birthday's coming up, and I'd like to have closure.
Keep trying. Don't give up hope.
And then, on August 6th, 2 days after WJBF aired Audrey's story, the phone call that changed everything.
She said, well, sit down. I said, okay. And she told me, and I couldn't believe it. I was happy. I was crying. I was so overwhelmed.
Joey had been adopted twice, eventually ending up with a family in Alpharetta. His last name was changed to Welch.
Got a lot of whoopings because I did act up when I was younger. I guess due to all the stress and stuff I went through over the years. But I am what I am today is because of that family.
And today, his birth family, the 3 Sidler children, will be together again for the first time in 50 years.
We're here. You and my sister, y'all know sisters, all of them. I love all of y'all.
No.
Joey and his wife have 2 daughters and 11 grandkids, and he looks forward to an even bigger family now that Audrey and Sheila are back in his life. Audrey got her wish to celebrate Joey's birthday with him. And as for that void, the childhood these siblings didn't share, Joey learned to let go of the anger.
I don't know for the reason why they did it. I can't hold a grudge against them for something I don't know that they did.
And no longer questions decisions made on his behalf.
Looking at the whole picture now and the age I am now, maybe it was for the best for me and Audrey. God chose to do what he did, and he did it for a reason.
We're here forever now.
Don't you know those three are excited to celebrate the holidays together? We hope this special makes you think about those you love. If they are near to you, hug them close. If you're looking for family, these are important resources that may help you. And we have others on our website. Just look for this story, Finding Birth Families. I'm Jenny Montgomery. Thank you for watching and have a blessed holiday.